The target of today's video is to show you in 5 secret hidden tips how to go from a noob, a beginner level, to Adonis. Along this video, within 5 tips, we are going to learn how to go from a basic financial chart without any information to a financial chart where you can display like a Hoover, for instance, for what's happening within a date for the market data. Getting like a run slider for your user, your client, or anyone in your public to get this type of fancy and very useful tools when they are going to watch your graph, and to add filter on your graph in order to make it more interactive for your public. So guys, if you are ready, pick a cup of coffee, switch off your phone, let's be focused, and see you at the end of the video. Bye. Hi guys, and welcome in this video. It has been a while that I wanted to do this video, and as I mentioned in the previous one, I'm going to run a new series of videos now that I have a little bit more time. Like a lot of stuff happened the last 2 years. I opened hedge fund 2 years ago, and I sold my shares a few months ago, and now I have a little bit more time to bring some new content on this channel. And today, the topic of this video is to share with you 3 tips, which is going to help you to, in 2 sides, like either if you want to impress your clients, your colleagues for an interview process, on your data visualization skills. And on second time is also for you if you want to explore the data, that's like some few tips in order to have like a better data visualization for finance and for algorithmic trading. Within these videos, it's going to be divided in 3 parts. One, I'm going to just explain you how you can use Plotly for finance and for bringing some graphs in finance. And second part, I'm going to show you how you can bring OHLC diagram, where you can see open, high, low, and closed value on financial assets. And at the end, I'm going to show you how you can filter, you can focus, you can create like some button, you can create like some slider in order to focus on a specific part of the graph. This video, I'm going to make sure to be like as much concise as possible and as much short as possible. However, if you want to go further, there is like this online course that I publish. It's not perfect. It's mostly for people who are like beginning. If you want like to have like a good foundation, you can definitely use it and play with it. There's like 4.8 star right now, so if you want, you can go over it, and it's going to help the channel too. So yeah, guys. Okay, see you guys, and let's start now. Before to start anything, we are going to download 2 libraries, Plotly and Pandas. Plotly is going to be used for the data viz package, and Pandas and NumPy is for data manipulation. You don't really need NumPy, but like we are still going to download it in case of like later on the video we need to play with some matrix, but I don't think so. So, but still, like the 2 libraries that we are going to need now here in this example is Pandas and NumPy. Pandas is going to help us to get the data from the market and play with it, and we are going to use Plotly as a library in order to display our graph. So now the question would be, why we are going to use Plotly? Essentially, as a finance professional, there is many reasons of using Plotly. I'm going to group it into 3 reasons. The first one, Plotly provides you financial charts within the package from scratch, which is insane. And the quality of the charts are tremendous. For instance, if you go a little bit more down, if you take a look at it, like let's say here we can have like directly all our candles. If you like, for anyone who already did some trading, you know the importance of taking a look of your candles. And it's already within the basic package of Plotly. That's the reason number 1. Reason number 2 is the quality of the color and the content. Like they have like very shiny color. If you take a look at it, the color are like much more good looking than any other package. And the last point is the simplicity of using. Essentially, Plotly, in order to use Plotly, it's very easy. You only need 3 steps. One is going to be to declare the figure, which means like to create your workspace. That's part number 1. Create your workspace. Essentially, with one line of code, you create your workspace. Last part is going to show your workspace, and in between, we are going to add like step by step, layer by layer, everything we want to see into our graph, which is insane. For me, in terms of logic, how it comes with Plotly is like insane. You're going to see with the first graph how easy it is to add whatever you want within a graph. That's the 3 main reasons why I'm using Plotly on a daily basis. Is like first, a financial package from scratch. Second is the color and the quality of the content, like it's very neat. And the last one is the simplicity of using. Okay, now that we went through Plotly, we are going to start by importing a basic database. Like we are just going to go on GitHub, like there was like this free database of like this free finance database that everyone is using at university. You can just copy and paste it, you will see. And you have like all the data for Apple for 2 years. We're just going to take it as a basic package. If you want to know more on how to download live market data, I recommend you to click here on the video. Or to go on my channel, you have like few contents on Medium blog or whatever, just on Google, you're gonna find some content. So first line of code, just let's download this data and we are going to play with this data. Let's show it. Okay, perfect. We got the data. We got like data for Apple. And now we are going to play with the database in order to go from this type of graph, like something very basic, to something much more related to what you can do on a daily basis and how we are going to super boost it. Let's go. So in tip number 1, I'm going to do that here because it's going to be like very redundant in order to have like a clear code. What I'm going to do, I'm going to start by storing any column within a variable in order to avoid to each time type df square bracket date. I'm just like store it into the variable date, close, open price, high, low. It's like small tips. You can go much faster, but more important for me when I do that, like each time at the beginning of the code, I do that. And I keep one part only for the graph and I give the name of the variables. And after within the code, it's like much more clean where it's coming from. That's the reason why. So that's tip number 1. And now let's draw our first graph. Okay, it's going to be 3 steps as explained before. 3 steps. 1, you declare your workspace. Last one consists of showing your workspace. And in between, we are going to add different traces. Let's start by adding our first trace. And we can do like a simple scatter plot, like what is like the most basics. You have different type of graph that exist. You have like histogram, donut chart, scatter plot. Right now we're going to take like scatter plot, but like you have different type of graphs that you can use. You have just to choose. So the only thing that you have to do is like fig.add trace, and you add like a trace of your choice, and within parentheses you go dot candlestick. Why Go? Because Go, we are going to use Go because we called plotly.graphObject, which is the package that we are going to use. Maybe in another video I'm going to go further on it, but for now let's focus on that. So go.candle. Go.scatter. So candlestick for later. Go.scatter. And in between, if you type Shift and Tab, what you are going to have all the information that you can add. Like let's say you can add like a over, what you want within the over, all this type of information. But for us, what we are going to focus on is like X and Y. So we are going to add like for the X axis, we want the date because we want the time on the X axis, and on the Y axis, we want the closing price. Up, let's execute. Boom. Here we have our first graph. So for this first graph, the beginner part is like very easy. 3 steps. 1, you declare the workspace. Last one, you show the workspace, and in between you add whatever you want. Here in between, we added like the date on the x-axis. and the price, the closing price on the y-axis. And if you jump on it, you can see that you have like your closing price day after day. If you slide on it, that's one other reason of using Plotly. Now, tips number 2, we are going to go from this part to adding a layout. So what we are going to add right now is like what we want. If we go back on our graph here, we created a workspace. We added like a trace. And again, for instance, if you want to add multiple traces, for instance, you just have to, if you want to add like 10 traces, you just have to copy and paste and add that on your worksheet. For instance, if we do that, we can add moving average. For people who don't know what's moving average, I highly recommend you to go on this video on my channel. Okay, boom. Now we added like the close price and moving average, and you can add as much line as you want. So next point, now that we got our first graph, next line, how you can up level your graph with Plotly is by adding titles, information on the X and Y axis. So what we are going to do, we are going just to add like one line of code, and we are going to ask Plotly to update the X axis, Y axis, and title. So what we are going to do, we are just going to take off what we have built right there, up. And in between, what we are going to do, we are just going to add like one line. It's the line which is here, is like fig dot update layout. Again, if you want to go much further on Plotly, I highly recommend you my online course that I did. I have like 1.5 hours fully Plotly crash course for finance. So I'm going much more in depth on how to get all the line of code, how to get all the information. But within this small tutorial, I want to be as much concise as possible. So let's go back on the code. Boom. Up, we are going to update the layout, and after, within the update layout, you can add whatever you need. Up, okay, we don't have that much information within the caption, but first thing that we're gonna do is like add like a title, update layout, add a title. We can do Apple stock price and moving average. Let's remove the spelling mistake and let's go. Boom. If you see, we went from having a graph to adding a title. Let's update the y-axis. So the only thing is like y-axis title. Oh, sorry. Up. We're gonna do y-axis title. On the y-axis title is the price in US dollar. Boom. Now we have like the title, the y-axis, what is on the y-axis. Now, the next tips consist of adding into our graph a range slider. To do so, we are just going to stay into the same logic. So declare, and we are going to add each time like a wish list what we want to add. So at the same manner, in the same logic, what we are going to do, we are just going to copy and paste our code. Let's copy and paste it here, for instance. Up. And the only action that you have to do in order to get a range slider is just like add a line of code and just type fig dot update. If you want it on the X or the Y axis, here we are going to add it on the X axis. Fig.update X axis, and in between parentheses, range slider visible, which is by default false, equal true. Execute, and now we have like a range slider. As easy as that. If you want to deactivate it, turn it to false, deactivate it. So now, true, and we got our range slider. Boom. That's the tips number 3. So, and if you take a look at it now, just with like 2 lines of code, like update layout and update x-axis, we went from a graph without any title, any information, to a graph where we have a range slider to provide to to your audience a way to play with your graph, and title on the X and Y axis to have much more information. So now that tips number 3 is done, let's jump on tips number 4. Tips number 4 will be the concept of going from a graph which only provides the closing price to a graph which will provide information regarding the volatility of the financial assets. To sense the volatility, one of the easiest visual way is to get a candlestick. It's to get a candle. For instance, if you go on TradingView, let's go. Yeah, let's go up here. We're on TradingView. Let's open, for instance, Ethereum, or let's go on Bitcoin. Okay, yes, I'm professional. Okay, let's go. For instance, if you take a look on this graph, you can see that here's like 15-minute candle. You can see. Let's get a good example. Oh, let's go on daily. Okay. For instance, if you go on daily, you can see that here, even though the market move jumped by 10%, you can see within this graph that we had like within this day, we can see that the price went at least 3 or 4% higher. So you can sense the volatility with what we call a candle. So right now, our goal in this tips number 4 is to switch from a normal chart where we only have the closing price to a chart where we are going to have all this type of information, which is open, high, low, and close value. In order to do so, we have to switch from scatter plot to candlestick. So in order to do so, we are just going to go back to the first chart that we had here, and we are going to start from scratch. Let's copy, let's paste it here, and instead of scatter plot, we're just gonna go with candlestick, and that's all. Up, candlestick, and we're gonna type shift tab, and we have all the arguments that we need to bring inside. So what it needs, it will call the closing value. We need like the highest price, so we call it high. If you remember, high, we call it high just right there. High is like the column of the highest price of the day for Apple. We have low, open price, and close. So let's go back. High, open equal open price, and close equal close. Okay, I believe it should be fair enough. Keyword argument repeated. Which one? Okay, close is repeated indeed. Let's remove the first one. Something missing. Okay, we need low equal low, and now it should be good. Boom. So now we have like our candlestick chart. And what's interesting is like from the basic package without any need to change on the hover function, because if you want, you can change the hover. Here is what we call the hover text. You can change the text within the hover. You can change information within the hover, but by essence, the hover information provide open, high, low, and close value. Within the online course I shared with you within the class, I'm going much more in details regarding the hover value. Yep. If you go right here, yes, and yeah, if you go right there, here within like this part on histogram, I'm going much more in details on how to change the hover, bring more information to the customers. But yeah, just feel free if you want to go further, I can jump on it. Let's go back to our graph. So yeah, here by essence, it's already bring you like a hover with information, and the function of getting like a range slider is by default activated. If you want to deactivate it, it's exactly what we have done before. Just gonna copy and paste this line of code up, and we are going to paste it and switch it to false. and now it's deactivated. So now that we have built our candlestick charts, like now the step number 4 is done. Now we're gonna start going into the giga chad level, like the next level, which is going to make everyone amazed. And again, it will only require not one line of code, but like only one action code. I would call it this way. It's just like you can even do it in one line of code. So the next step will consist of going from this graph to a graph where you can add like some filter. Like you want to filter over 1 year data, 6 month data, year to date, all the data. So in just one line of code. So let's go and take what we have done here so far. We are going to mix it with the candlestick line. Up, we're gonna do that. Maybe we can keep the moving average, still interesting. So, and what's interesting here right now is the fact that for instance, you can see within the candle if you went above or not, or are still below the moving average when you cross it, because let's say if you only have like the closing price, you can't really detect this type of move. So that's what's interesting. Okay, so now we have like this basic figure, like price, title, date, but the only thing we changed is by switching from a scatter plot to a much more financial graph. That's one of the tips going to help you to overboost your level. So we are going to copy and paste that from here to here, and we are going to now we are going to add on the x-axis, we are going to add like a filter just right here on the top, same as here on the giga chad level. Giga chad. Let's go. So in order to do so, instead of calling range slider, we are going to call range selector. However, if you go within the parentheses, you can see that you have to bring it within like a dictionary. So if you want more information about it, you can just Google it. Range selector plotly Python graph. You can have like more information. And for instance, you can directly go and copy and paste the code. It's going to be much quicker. So let's do it here. Let's just type and let's just come and take it. Control C. It's gonna be more quick. Boom. So let's execute. Something missing. Okay, this one is this one. Okay. Yep. Boom. And now what we went from like normal graph to graph where you can filter. Let's say you want year-to-date data, 1 year data, 6 months data, 1 month data, all the data, year-to-date. Just check how amazing it is. I love this tool. I really, really love this tool. It's so cool. So, okay. So now we just went from, let's say I can go step by step how it worked, but you can jump to the course. Into the course, I'm going much more in details regarding these variables, how to manage it. But now just like an example on how you can super boost your chart. So, okay. So now that we are done with the tips number 5, now we are going to recreate this giga chad level. What's interesting on this one is like almost a professional chart that you can get on TradingView, for instance. On TradingView, you have your candlestick and you have your moving averages. And now the goal is going to replicate the exact one. So to do so, we're going to need 3 steps. One will be to change the legend here on the button. you're gonna have to change, like to switch 6 months, year to day, full data, in order to give more insight to the user. Second is going to bring like information regarding the graph that we have. And the last one is going to be to change the default color. So what's interesting with this dig at child level, for instance, if you want to try to do it by yourself, I would highly recommend you push the video on pause, try to do it on your side, and I'm going to focus now on giving you the solution. Okay, let's go. So first step would be to just go. We are just going to get back what we have done so far. So again, like we start by adding a trace, adding a candlestick, updating the layout with the title, and adding the different button. So as I mentioned just before, the first step will be to add like a trace, will be to add like the moving average. So easy. We are just going to add like another trace. It's just like a wish list for Christmas. It's exactly the same. Okay, for Christmas I want a Barbie, I want a car, I want toys, whatever you want. I want a helicopter. And here's the same concept. So fig.addTrace, I want a moving average. So I want like so go.scatter. And between parentheses, I'm going to type x equal date and y equal moving average. For people new in finance, the concept of moving average is just like it's just the average of the last X period of time. Nothing more complex than that, but it gives insight about how the market moves. The market is more bullish or bearish. So that's the first step. However, what we need to add right now is the color. So in order to add the color and the name, that's the other points. For instance, for the name, because if we don't have the name, not going to, if you type it here, we have the variable name, because let's execute this one. For instance, let's execute just above in order to make the comparison with the final graph. For instance, if you execute that, if you execute this line, I forgot to add our line of code that we added. If we execute what we have done there, if you take a look at it, you have trace 0 and trace 1. So what we have to do is to add the name equal moving average, and here we are going to add name equal candles. Forward the equal. Boom! So here we have the candles, and here's the moving average. So we can call it like a market price. It looks more fancy. But and if you take a look at it now, the moving average is red. So it's a big issue. It's like too much similar to the candlestick color. So we have to change it. So now we're gonna have to change the color. To go on the color, we need to shift enter. Don't confuse with fill color, because if you go on fill color, it's like filling whatever is below the line. For instance, it's going to fill whatever is below the line. So it's slightly different. What you have to do, you have to go on line. Here, for instance, if you want to change the marker, you can change the marker. Now what we want to change the line. So you have to go in line and type equal. And if you go online, you can take a look. If you go into the information of line, it's explaining you that you want the information within a dictionary. So you have to type dictionary color equal, for instance, royal blue. Boom, and now we change the color. Now it's much more good looking. If you want to know all the colors which are available, you can just like type a wrong color, and it's going to give you the information of the color which are available. Yep, here's all the colors that you can have access. Alice blue, antique white, aqua, aquamarine. Let's try, for instance, azure color. boom, it's like one small help, boom, and here we have the moving average in other color. It's like much better looking now. So now the last step that we have to do is just like bring more information here on the button, like 1M, 6M, year to date. I hate it. Let's say I have 15 employees. I know if someone bring me a report with this type of name, that will make me pissed. It's okay, but that will make me pissed for sure. So much more because it's very easy. One thing that we have to do is just change the label, 1 month, 6 months, up, year to date, and 1 year data. And here we just have to add label equal full data. Up, let's execute, boom, now it's much more good looking again. Let's change this color because it's so full. Boom, up, let's take a look which color are available. Let's go with the medium turquoise. Let's have some fun. Boom. So now we have like the moving average in medium turquoise and the market price. It's exactly the same as our final challenge. Okay guys, well done. I hope you enjoyed these tutorials. I did it with fun. Just use these few tips into your daily life. Each time that you have to draw a graph, you will see that people are going to be very surprised by the quality of the graph. I will do the best to give you as much content in the next weeks. And if you have any questions, feel free. If you want me to add any information, feel free, and I will give you more information regarding the Discord groups that I'm going to make it more attractive, more like much more active, more momentum. I have been like off for the last weeks, no, for like 2 years to be more specific, and now I want to give more time on my weekend to help you guys. Okay, I hope you enjoy this tutorial, and see you in the next video.